I was driving to hear my boss's final decision on my job, and the steering wheel felt heavier than it should. The whole morning I'd rehearsed what I'd say if they fired me, something about dignity, about walking out with my head high. But deep down, I wasn't sure I had that kind of strength left. The road hummed under the tires, an endless gray strip leading straight into judgment. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. Unknown number. I almost let it go. But something made me swipe. "Don't go in there," a voice whispered. It was low, urgent, cracking under pressure. I recognized it immediately. Ethan, a coworker from my team. "They're setting you up. Right now. I just saw the emails." "What emails?" My throat went dry. "Approvals you never gave. Documents with your name on them. IT printed them out. HR has a packet, and Derek's in the glass room smirking like he just won the lottery. They're saying you authorized the supplier change, the price hike, everything. I swear to God, it's forged." The world tilted for a second. A horn blared behind me, and I realized I was drifting lanes. I pulled over hard, the brakes squealing, heart slamming against my ribs. My palms were wet on the wheel. "Ethan, slow down. Tell me exactly what you saw." He exhaled fast, the sound shaky like he was looking over his shoulder while talking. "I saw the emails. Time-stamped approvals from your account last Friday. But I know you weren't in the office. You left early for your dad's doctor's appointment. I saw you leave. They're pinning it all on you because Derek's the one who pushed that supplier through. And the numbers don't add up. He's been greasing the vendor for months, but you're the fall guy." The hum of passing cars blurred into static. My job wasn't just a paycheck. My visa was tied to this contract. My mortgage, my dad's medical coverage, everything was balanced on the edge of this one meeting. If they took me down, I wouldn't just lose my desk. I'd lose my life here. "Why are you telling me this now?" My voice was lower than I expected, calm in a way that scared me. "Because they're printing the noose right now. HR is waiting upstairs. If you walk in blind, you're done. Listen, do you have your phone on you? Check your login notifications. I think Derek used your credentials through that mailbox delegation trick." I tried to say something, but, he trailed off. I heard muffled voices on his end, then a rushed whisper. "I can't talk long. Just prove where you were. Badge logs, MFA pushes, anything. If you don't, they'll eat you alive." The line clicked dead. I stared at the screen. Ethan's number already gone, leaving me with the hollow glow of the call log. My pulse thudded in my ears. For a moment, I thought about just driving away, leaving the city, disappearing before they could corner me. But then my screen lit up again, this time with a push notification from my security app. New login from device, unknown. Location, downtown, corporate HQ. Timestamp, 3 minutes ago. My jaw tightened. I wasn't there. I was parked off Highway 47, sweating into the steering wheel, staring at proof that someone was inside my account, right now, pulling the strings, finishing the trap. The decision wasn't mine anymore. It was already made. They wanted my head, but I wasn't about to hand it over. I killed the engine, grabbed my laptop bag from the back seat, and flipped it open across the passenger seat. My hotspot flickered to life. Battery at 42%. I had maybe 20 minutes before the meeting. 20 minutes to prove I wasn't the liar they painted me to be. 20 minutes to fight for my life. And the clock was already ticking. I balanced the laptop awkwardly on the passenger seat, fingers trembling as I typed in my credentials. The screen pulsed alive, and the first thing I did was pull the MFA log. If Derek really piggybacked on delegated access, there would be traces. There always were. The console was slow, grinding under the weak hotspot, but finally a line of green text filled the screen. My heart hammered as I scrolled. There it was, entries marked under my username from last Friday, time-stamped 5:42 p.m. My stomach sank. That was exactly when I'd been at St. Luke's with my dad, waiting outside cardiology with my phone on silent. The logs didn't stop there. Multiple approvals, PO sign-offs, all tied to my account. But the device fingerprint didn't match mine. It showed an IP in downtown, corporate HQ's subnet. and the MFA marked as delegated session. Whoever had access didn't need my phone. I leaned back against the seat, exhaling sharp. It was real. They'd built a noose out of my name, and if I walked into that meeting empty-handed, it would tighten fast. The phone buzzed again. A message from Ethan, short and jagged like he was typing in a panic. Screenshot attached. Slack DM. Derek coaching the intern. Scrub metadata. Nobody checks headers. Don't trust IT. They're covering him. I opened the screenshot. Derek's smug face in my mind was almost unbearable. Scrub metadata. It was practically a confession. I saved it to my desktop and kept digging. Next stop, voicemail archive. I remembered a call 2 weeks ago from the vendor rep, a weird one. At the time, I brushed it off. Now I played it back, volume low. Don't worry, Derek told us how he wants it handled. We'll keep the usual arrangement. Just approve the paper trail. The voice was smooth, casual, like discussing a lunch order, but it was poison. I downloaded the audio, tagged it, and shoved it into the folder growing on my desktop. Proof. Laptop battery, 29%. Meeting in 13 minutes. I couldn't just hoard evidence. If they cornered me, they could shut down my account, confiscate my machine, bury it all. I needed a fail-safe. My hand hovered over the keyboard. Then I started typing, fast and hard. 2. Audits, compliance. Corp, board review. Corp, subject, urgent, evidence of fraudulent activity and account compromise. I attached the Slack screenshot, the voicemail, the MFA log exports, the IP trace. My throat was dry as I wrote the last line. If you're reading this, it means I was prevented from defending myself internally. This evidence requires independent review. Instead of sending, I scheduled it. Delivery, 10 a.m., the exact start of the meeting. If I was silenced, the dead man's switch would fire. The screen reflected my pale face in the tinted window. For a second, I almost shut it down, told myself I was being paranoid, that maybe HR would give me a chance. But then another message from Ethan pinged through. They just printed the packet. Derek's laughing. HR is ready. You have 10 minutes. My jaw clenched. No, this wasn't paranoia. This was a hunt, and I was the target. I zipped the evidence folder, backed it to a hidden cloud drive, and yanked the charging cable from the console. The laptop groaned at 18% as I slammed it shut. Then I looked in the rearview mirror at my own eyes. Bloodshot, hard. They want a show, I muttered. Fine, I'll give them one. I shoved the car into gear and pulled onto the road, the glass tower of corporate HQ rising in the distance like a gallows waiting. The parking garage under the tower was a cavern of concrete and echoes, every sound magnified, my tires, the slam of the door, even the pulse in my ears. I texted Ethan once. Here. Where? A moment later, a shadow moved between pillars, and he stepped out. Shoulders hunched, clutching his phone like it might bite him. Over here, he whispered, pulling me toward a darker corner. His face was pale, eyes darting like a man who already knew he was in too deep. Show me, I said. My voice sounded foreign, stripped of anything but urgency. He handed me his phone, Slack messages copied into screenshots. Derek to the intern. Clean the metadata, copy-paste the approval block, swap the headers. Done. Then another. Don't screw this up, kid. He takes the fall. We're clear. My stomach twisted as I scrolled. It wasn't just sloppy. It was premeditated. That's not all, Ethan murmured, fumbling in his pocket. He pulled out a flash drive, cheap plastic with a red cap. Security pulled the badge logs. I convinced the guard to print me a copy. Look. I plugged it into my laptop, the fan whining like it knew we were pushing it too far. The spreadsheet opened. Friday, 5:41 p.m. Derek's badge into the West Wing. My line was blank, no activity since 3:07 p.m., when I'd left the building. The timestamp sat there in black and white. I was out, he was in. But the worst was yet to come. Ethan flipped to another folder. Procurement. He pulled up 2 purchase orders side by side. One from 6 months ago. Unit price $14.70. The approved one from last week, $21.90 for the exact same item. Hundreds of units, thousands skimmed, maybe more, and every line had my digital signature stamped on it. My throat went tight. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Ethan said, his voice breaking. I wanted to say something, but HR, you know how it is. They'd bury me. They're already in Derek's pocket. I closed the laptop, palms pressed flat against the lid, fighting the urge to slam it onto the wall. Ethan, listen to me. You're not going down for this. Neither am I, but I need you to understand. Once I walk into that room, there's no coming back. They'll try to shut me down fast. He swallowed hard. What are you going to do? I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder, and hit record. This, I said, my voice low but steady, is a statement of fact. On this day, at this time, I have proof of fraudulent activity tied to Derek, last name redacted. I have proof my credentials were compromised. If this recording is found, it means I was silenced before I could defend myself. This is not paranoia. This is survival. I stopped the recording, looked at Ethan. If I don't walk out of that room, you drop this to audit, the board, the press, anyone who will listen. His hand trembled as he took the phone. You're really doing this. Damn right I am. Overhead, a car rolled past, headlights sweeping across the gray wall like a searchlight. For a moment, both of us froze, breath caught until the sound faded. Then I shouldered my bag, squared my jacket, and walked toward the elevator. My heart was steady now, almost calm. I wasn't walking into a meeting anymore. I was walking into an ambush with teeth. The conference room smelled like fresh toner and nerves. Long glass table, blinds half drawn, a carafe of untouched water in the center. My boss sat at the head, jacket crisp, expression already hardened. HR was to his right, legal beside her. IT at the far end with a stack of printed packets. Derek leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, lips curled into a smirk that could have cut glass. Glad you could make it, my boss said, voice flat. Let's get this over with. They slid a packet across the table. Timeline of your approvals, HR began, tapping her pen on the page. Emails, purchase orders, signatures, all consistent, all from your account. I let them speak. Let them stack the case like bricks around me. Page after page, signatures I never wrote, approvals I never touched. Every time they paused, Derek's smirk deepened. Finally, my boss leaned forward, steepling his fingers. Look, we can handle this quietly. If you resign today, we'll keep this internal. No police, no lawsuits. Just sign, and you can walk out with dignity. I didn't move. My hands rested flat on the table. Calm, almost casual. Are you finished? A flicker of annoyance crossed his face. We've presented the evidence. Unless you have, I reached into my bag and slid my laptop onto the table. The fan whirred, screen flickering awake. Evidence? I said softly. You mean this? Click. First, the MFA log. My cursor highlighted the login location, downtown HQ subnet, while my badge record showed me badged out at 3:07 p.m. You want timestamps? Here's one. I wasn't even in the building. Click. Next window, Slack screenshots. Derek's own words glowing in black and white. Scrub metadata. He takes the fall. We're clear. I didn't need to add commentary. The silence was commentary enough. Click. Audio file. The vendor's voice filled the room. Don't worry. Derek told us how he wants it handled. We'll keep the usual arrangement. Legal shifted in her chair, eyes narrowing. Click. 2 purchase orders side by side. Old price, $14.7 us. New price, $21.90. Same item. Same supplier. Same signature. My signature. Only one problem. I never touched it. But Derek did. The smirk cracked. Derek sat forward, color rising in his neck. This is bullshit, you... I raised a finger. Wait! My voice was steady, cutting through his protest. I tapped the corner of the screen where my scheduled email icon pulsed faintly in the corner. 9:59 a.m. 1 minute left. This, I said, looking each of them in the eye, isn't just on this table. In 60 seconds, Audit and the board will have every file you've seen here, along with the logs, the Slack exports, the voicemail, and the badge records. If you want to talk about resignations, maybe start rehearsing your own? The room froze. HR's pen slipped from her hand. I'd looked down, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. My boss's jaw worked, tight, like a man trying to swallow a stone. And then, right on cue, the conference door opened. Two people stepped in, internal audit lead, flanked by a board compliance officer, both holding folders. "Sorry we're late," the auditor said evenly, though his eyes swept the table with precision. "We received an urgent packet. Thought we should join this meeting." The silence was deafening. My boss's face drained of color. Derek's hands balled into fists. I sat back in my chair, finally breathing. Showtime was over. The reckoning had just begun. Audit didn't waste time. The lead auditor, a compact man with silver hair and sharp eyes, dropped a folder on the table with a sound that cut through the silence. "We've reviewed the evidence. Now we'll be asking questions." Derek tried to bluster first. "This is absurd. He doctored that data himself." "Sit down." The compliance officer's voice was calm but final. Derek froze, half out of his chair, then sank back down, his jaw flexing. The auditor slid a page toward IT. "You granted mailbox delegation to Derek's account 3 weeks ago. Elevated permissions. Why?" The IT manager swallowed, his tie crooked under sudden sweat. He said it was temporary coverage, to handle approvals while the team lead was out. His eyes flicked toward me. He insisted. Audit didn't blink. "Did you document authorization for this request?" Silence. I shook his head. Next, the auditor turned to my boss. "You pushed HR to resolve this before quarter end. We have your Slack messages." He flipped a sheet, and my boss's own words stared back. "Close this before EOM. Don't drag it out." My boss's face hardened. That was about efficiency. I wasn't aware of any fraud. The compliance officer leaned forward. "Ignorance is not an excuse. You signed off on these inflated POs yourself. Care to explain?" A muscle jumped in his cheek. He opened his mouth, closed it again. Derek broke first. "Look, this isn't all me. The intern, he's the one who—" "Stop." My voice cut across the table, low but steady. "You coached him. Told him exactly what to scrub. I have the messages." And then, from the back of the room, a voice quavered. "It was the intern. Someone must have pulled him in while we were talking." He clutched a printout in shaking hands. I kept copies, in case. He told me to do it. I didn't know." He slid the papers forward, eyes down as if bracing for impact. The evidence hit like a hammer. Derek's commands in plain text, ordering metadata stripped, timestamps altered, approvals forged. HR shifted uneasily. Legal's pen tapped once, then stilled. The boss finally spoke, voice tight. "We can handle this internally. No need to escalate." The compliance officer stood. "It's already escalated. Effective immediately, Derek. Your badge is deactivated. Security will escort you out. As for you," he fixed my boss with a cold stare, "you're suspended pending investigation. Audit will review your communications and financial disclosures." Security stepped in with uncanny timing. Derek lurched up, protest spilling out, but his voice cracked into panic. "You can't do this. You need me. He's lying. He's—" The words broke off as the guard's hand closed on his arm, steering him firmly toward the door. My boss didn't move. He just sat there, pale, hands clenched on the arms of his chair. The intern looked at me once, eyes wide, silently apologizing. I gave him the smallest nod. And then the room emptied, audit gathering files, HR whispering with legal, security dragging Derek's muffled curses into the hall. I sat alone at the table, the wreckage of their scheme spread out before me. For the first time in weeks, I felt air fill my lungs without weight, but I knew this wasn't over. The fall had just begun. The reckoning would echo higher than this room, and for once, I wasn't the one falling. 3 weeks later, the company email dropped like a stone into the inboxes of thousands of employees. Effective immediately, Derek, last name redacted, has been terminated and referred to authorities for further investigation. The company has also ended its relationship with vendor name. Additionally, boss's name has resigned from his role, citing personal reasons. The announcement was clean, corporate polished, but the halls buzzed with the truth. Everyone knew. Whispers slid through the open plan desks, carrying words like fraud, kickbacks, cover-up. And every time my name surfaced, it wasn't with suspicion anymore. It was with a kind of hushed respect. Audit had been thorough. The inflated purchase orders, the Slack messages, the voicemail, all of it was undeniable. Derek had been caught red-handed, and my boss's Slack nudges sealed his own fate. The board moved fast, severing ties before the scandal could touch shareholders. Me? I was summoned to a different kind of meeting. This one was in a smaller room, no glass walls, just a polished table and 2 board members sitting opposite me. "You've been vindicated," one of them said plainly. "We owe you an apology and compensation." A folder slid across the table. Inside, back pay, bonus reinstatement, and something more. A formal offer to lead the remediation task force, whistleblower protections in writing, autonomy, a budget. "If you don't want this," the other board member added, "we'll authorize a settlement instead. A very generous one, along with a letter of reference from the board itself. Your choice." For a long moment, I just stared at the folder. My fingers traced the edge, feeling the weight of everything that had led here. The phone call on the highway, the panic, the evidence folder, the dead man's switch that turned their ambush into their downfall. "I'll take it," I said finally. "But not unless Ethan's protected. He stuck his neck out when no one else did. If I stay, he stays safe." They exchanged a glance, then nodded. Done. And that was it. The tables had turned. On my way out, I passed the lobby where, not long ago, I'd walked in ready to be executed. This time, people looked up from their desks and actually met my eyes. Some even nodded, subtle but real, like they finally saw me. That evening, driving home, I passed the same highway exit where I'd almost turned around, almost vanished before the trap could spring. The setting sun bled orange across the asphalt, and for the first time in months, I let myself smile. The call that was supposed to end me had saved me instead, and in the end, it didn't just take them down. It gave me everything they tried to steal. I drove on, the road ahead open, steady, mine.